welcome back to another episode of the Geek Podcast.
This is your host, Charlie Radio Williams, and this is Sean-Luc.
Welcome back to another episode of the Geek Podcast.
I don't know why you look like you did something and like why you look like you're up to something mischievous, but you worry me sometimes. You worry me a lot. I know geeks get a bad rep for being like creeps and stuff, but you worry me. I don't know what you're up to. I don't want to know what you're up to. But oh my God, okay, so I know what you're doing now. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the G is for Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Radio Williams.
And this is the Throwback King, Sean-Luc.
Okay, so as you know, the G is for Geek Podcast is a shoot to shit show with several geeks that we just talk about, geek stuff as well as our personal lives and just, all things that we're just into. My recent return to Facebook or Bookface or social media, I saw this post about you wore this type of shirt, and I see what you're doing there. I see that you're wearing the shirt. I'm gonna wear the shirt for the whole episode,
which we're calling a bonus episode because we're literally doing it in the same day.
I'm not even gonna make fun of you because I had shirts like that, and I remember having shirts like that after saying to myself, I will never wear shirts like that. What is that? That's like that cotton polyester blend.
Yeah, hold on. Let me make sure that my shirt doesn't go into flames. Hold on one second.
Oh, God. Ladies and gentlemen, that is such an uncle. Somebody's an uncle if they have those shirts. Because that is such a throwback shirt. I remember those shirts being everywhere and anywhere in New York City.
As long as my cat doesn't scratch me, we're fine.
Wow, that's a real throwback there.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to wear it all up. I'm going to wear it for the whole episode.
To which people who are listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play cannot see what I'm talking about right now. So
it's okay. I'm wearing that throwback 90s dragon/tiger shirt that everybody used to wear.
With
and I'm doing that right now.
Random Oriental lettering on it.
It probably says like trucker hat or something on it.
Trucker. Oh my God. Oh, at least you're not wearing one of those hats. What are they? Van?
Oh, those Vans?
Oh, jeez. Such a throwback.
Trucker hat.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, on this episode of the Just Free Podcast, we're going to shoot the shit about shooting the shit, and something Sean wanted to talk about was Disney Plus and Mulan. And
yeah, because so this leads to this actually leads to like a bigger issue, especially dealing with COVID-19 and everything like that. It's forcing companies to think differently, and it's affecting a lot of businesses. So for those who don't know, right, and you should know by now, it's been a couple of weeks. Mulan is set to be on Disney Plus on September 4th, and you have to pay an extra $30 to see the movie. Now, yes, it's a one-time fee of $30, but it's still $30. And I do understand the fact that the companies want to recoup their losses and things like that. But before I go into my little tangent, what do you think about this?
Oh, so as a Disney Plus owner who canceled his subscription and is up in 2 weeks, I enjoyed Hamilton and how Hamilton was not Broadway priced. It was just something that was put out there for free. I will probably wait until Mulan is out of VR theater, whatever you want to call it nowadays, when it's on the Disney Plus lineup without me paying $30, and I get to watch it. Yeah, because there's no rush. Right now, we're in an economy that really can't afford to paying $30 to watch a movie. That's all I got to say to that.
So, two factors that I have for this. One, if this is successful, which I feel like based on the comments and based on the people, it's not going to be a success. But if this does become a success, that means that streaming platforms are going to become the new cable services officially. Because now you're officially going to have video on demand service. Now, I remember there was a video that came out not so long ago discussing it was like a theory, right? A film theory, if you will, right? Where he was talking about the fact that we're literally going into subscription-based services that's literally becoming the alternative to cable, which is like the second coming of cable, if you will, right? So now we're literally having pay-per-views with this service. And that is, I don't know if that's a problem per se, because I feel like movie theaters in general have become exorbitantly expensive, right? When you're paying like $100 for, and this is not an exaggeration, paying $100 for 2 tickets, popcorn, soda, and a gummies. Literally, $100.
So, can I chime in here?
Go ahead.
Because as I'm listening to this, I'm seeing all the positives behind this. And you know that I am a person that is either on the negative side or they're on the positive side.
Right.
Now, the positive side here is it's like the best Netflix and chill ever, because instead of me having to go out on that date night to go see a movie, I get to be like, hey girl, want to come on over? That new Mulan is on that streaming service, come on over, get some popcorn, like we just snuggled up on the couch. Yeah. Can you imagine that? No more having to get dressed to go out. Wait, hold up. We have that already. It's called Netflix. It's called streaming. But now I can watch big budget movies in my living room. Maybe I might go out and spend a couple $100, get a bigger screen TV, like a 72-inch curve, add some surround sounds to give me that movie theater, get some popcorn, butter, condoms, just for that in-home, like, actual sensual movie theater feels,
Two things.
And lube.
Two things that you said.
And lube.
Big budget movies. Okay. A lot of the times, putting this in theaters recoups those big budget theater losses so that they can make a profit.
Okay. And a lot of times going on a movie date takes a lot of the budget away from me.
It takes it away from you, but what we're saying is that, for example, how much is Mulan? Mulan is a $200 million movie, right? Do you really think that they're going to make those $200 million back on Disney Plus?
Here's a real question. If me and my date start watching Mulan at home, at what point in time do you think we're just going to stop watching the movie and smash? I think that's a real important question here. All right, because if you're at the theaters, watching a big budget movie, right, and you're with your partner, man, woman, I don't care what it is, as long as it's not a child, and you're like, yeah, I want to smash, but now you have to travel back home, get an Uber, but you're already in a dark room. Hold
up, you never smashed in the theater?
Why would I have to now if Disney is opening the door to bring big budget so I don't have to leave?
Not the answer to the question.
First of all, no. I don't kiss and tell about my relationship life.
Okay, so the answer is yes.
This isn't the... Right. No, I've no. First of all, I've never... All right, see, that's a separate conversation that... And since I want to go off topic for a minute, I I don't have performance anxiety. I just don't see myself in a movie theater, like, you know, Pornhubbing it. I just don't.
Hey, listen. I'm Petey Pabloing it. We can do it over here. They can do it over there.
First of all, with that shirt on, you're definitely like Petey Pabloing something somewhere. All right.
Listen. Yes, I have smashed in the theater. No regrets.
Which none of the Geektopians, not even myself, even asked.
Out there there are Geektopians out there that are freaky, that are willing to do stuff in public. Okay? And to those guys, I say I salute you, I respect you, and I wish I could go back to my younger days like y'all. So, going back to topic, right? Mulan will not gain those losses, right? And that's a $200 million movie. Right, and the studio company, right, like Disney or whatever, is always looking for ways to get that money back, because you spent all this money on it under the guise that you're gonna make this money back because it's gonna be a good movie, right? Look at Marvel. Marvel's been making billions of dollars, right, because they've actually had good movies.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think here's a better comparison, right? And I think you'll agree with this. Let's take the WWE Network, right? WWE Network charges you, what is it, $9.99 per month, or is it like $14.99 per month?
$10 a month.
They charge you $10 a month, right? And by charging you $10 a month, you get pay-per-view events included. One of the biggest things that's been happening, especially behind the scenes with the McMahons, is they're saying we've been losing so much money by doing the WWE Network, where when we were doing pay-per-views and we were getting that $29.99 added for those events. So I think what we're seeing right now is that happen, but we're seeing it in a different franchise. So whether if it's Disney starting it, if Sony's then going to do it with somebody else, a Paramount, I think that may end up becoming the future that we're looking at, where once again, we're diverting the entertainment from going to a physical location to being in your home.
And you're absolutely right, because I think that the perfect example of that is, and I hate to say this, Trolls World Tour. Mm-hmm. It is still the highest viewed video on demand service in recent streaming history, just based on sales and mind you, that's just you keep renting it. And yeah, kids love the film, whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is that when you rent something out there, right, and that money adds up, and I get that, right? Trolls, I don't think was like a really huge, big budget film, though. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, maybe it was probably like, what, 100 million, give or take? Right?
Give or take.
We're talking about something like, say, for example, The New Mutants, who has been dying for about 2 years now to get into the theaters because they want to make their money back.
Yeah, because that's Fox's last golden egg of the Marvel universe. Of course, they want their money back.
But that's the thing; we're not going to see movies like that in streaming services because of that reason, right? And yes, the landscape is shifting now, where movies are now being like, you have a world virtual premieres and stuff like that, like Scoob and whatnot, right? And it's just, I don't know. I like the positives of it, where it's like you finally have a reason not to go to the theaters. But at the same time, if the theater business goes down, that's a lot of jobs that are going to be like left in the cutting room floor, if you will. Like there's so many, because hundreds of people work in movie theaters, young people, like they find their first jobs in these movie theaters. Okay, so by removing these movies out of the theaters, you're literally having these people lose their jobs because there's no revenue coming in.
All right, so I'm going to quote Andrew Yang, and I'm going to brutalize this. When Andrew Yang was talking about automated driving versus truck drivers, right, that at some point truck driving is going to be obsolete. It is a fear that we have as a society that jobs that we considered a part of everyday society norm may phase out and disappear. our society and our culture and our needs constantly change. And what we're looking at right now, and I think not even because of the pandemic, that this was going to happen at some point. If you look at The Sopranos, movies like HBO has been producing shows that for the longest have had Hollywood quality looks as if you're watching a cinematic movie. Then you get Netflix, who's been doing the same thing with their shows. So I think what's going to happen with Hollywood is the idea of a big budget movie is what's going to slowly phase, and what you're going to get is a big budget show. Something like how Disney right now, and I keep throwing Disney out there, with WandaVision or the Winter Soldier and Falcon, where you're getting this high budget content, but it's in a mid area. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, what you see, I think will end up happening is those streaming services, their prices are going to start going up. The reason their prices will start going up is because the content is better.
Okay.
The content. So if you're paying maybe $20 a month for Netflix right now, I would not be surprised in the future if you're paying $40 a month. That's because of a library of movies you can watch, as well as mid or high quality productions that are now transitioning from being in the box office to being in your home. I don't think movie theaters are going to phase out. I think they're going to decline and decrease, and they're going to become more like a Broadway show, where it's something that it's not accessible to everyone, but the content being played can be accessible. And it'll be back in the way of like, oh, if you didn't see the movie this summer, well, you can now see it on DVD, on VHS. You can see it when it comes out on streaming services, and it will have that higher quality. It may even offer, features that Blu-ray used to do at the end, like, end credits or extra. I know if you watch Hamilton has on Disney Plus, it has an extended bonus video. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the future. I think it does suck that there are a lot of jobs that I believe that, maybe in 10 to 20 years would end up phasing out anyway, that it's just happening a lot earlier. I will give you one job that I did not know was still a job in certain places. People who operate elevators.
Yeah. My former roommate was an elevator operator.
But that's a job that if you mention it to somebody, it's kind of an obsolete job. At one point in our country, that was a job. You got hired to be the person who operated an elevator or operated a lift. So it's interesting that, yeah, it will suck that a particular area or a particular demographic of employee may not have the chance to work at a low-level job or an entry-level job, but then I think that other entry-level jobs are going to open up that replace that.
Okay. On a side note, having this shirt on is making me so hot because there's like no room to breathe.
You can't walk next to a stove with that shirt on. You can't smoke a cigarette with that shirt on.
And you can't really do much of anything.
I don't understand how people hit on women or hit on girls. Like, I remember having those types of shirts in high school, and I just
it was the shizniks. I mean, now
please don't use words like shiznik, please.
It used to be the shizniks.
Stop.
Right, and of course, like nowadays people look at it like nostalgia purposes, because no one will ever be caught dead wearing it.
Yeah, you're the only one.
You just have to enjoy for what it is at the time. Now, back to topic. I agree with you, and I do believe that this is eventually something that was going to happen down the line because, the future and coronavirus kind of pushed the future in front of us, right? And I think that my only issue is that, like, does that mean the quality of a movie, like, for example, the quality of, like, Black Widow or like Doctor Strange. You know, I'm using those big budget films as examples, like the upcoming Avatar films, right? Do those diminish in quality because you have to anticipate a lesser return on your investment?
So I don't think so. And the reason I don't think they'll diminish in quality is because as long as you have creators and artists who have visions and they want to storytell, it's going to happen. I think what it is about budget. So if you compare a movie from the 80s to a movie in the 90s and 2000s and then now, you see the quality and the innovation of how the movie industry has changed, the tools that have been created in order to get us here. I understand that there's the fear of, okay, if we produce a $70 million movie, what is our return on investment if we're putting it on a streaming service? I think, and I've said this in the past too, I think the other thing that we are going to see is that just like how cell phones replaced home phones, streaming services are going to replace cable television. Cable television, just how cable television replaced network television, streaming services are going to replace it. The price is going to be higher, but what we're going to realize is that the amount of content that you are getting from a streaming service is going to be well worth the price. The problem is, and something that we're seeing now that hasn't been figured out, and we saw this with cable too in the early days, when the more channels came up, you ended up paying more. You paid for HBO, HBO 1, HBO 2, Showtime. I think you're going to see that fight come from studios that invest into streaming services. The pricing of, okay, what streaming services has what? And I think the factors are going to come into, okay, our library has stuff that goes way back to like the 1960s. It has a large and I say that because it's about catalog. It has a large catalog, right? 1. 2, we have some of the heavy hitter actors and actresses. So that's going to be another one. 3, a large genre base in the catalogs. But to your point, also the quality of the movie. And I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to start seeing like, I think I also, and this is just me, I also feel like cable is shifting to places like YouTube, where there are going to be less network shows and more streamable shows that are like how you have TLC Go, you have HBO Max or HBO Go. That's going to, we're already seeing it with television, how television is shifting from cable to their own streaming platforms. And I think we're going to see that with movies. It's going to be more about how do we do a combination, which studio buys out what streaming services, or what studio has a license with what streaming services, and can people globally afford these streaming services?
Now that you mention that, what about the situation where people share accounts?
Oh, no, I still think that's going to exist. There's going to be a family level account. If you look at how anybody who has Verizon and the way that Verizon promotes their advertisement for like family services, a family service package.
Services. I'm talking about a situation where you have the Netflix, right? And you give your account to like 2-3 other people. This way they don't have to pay for it. So,
once again, I think what's going to happen with that, and this is speculation. I'm not is the same thing that happens now, where if your account is logged into 3 locations, 2 locations is fine. By the time it's logged into the 3rd location, there's a problem. That happens with Pandora Music. It happens with the WWE Network. It happens with anything, Disney Plus. If I have Disney Plus on my cell phone and I have it on my TV, but if I walk into my living room and I forget to like turn off one, it's going to tell me I'm signed into too many places. So I think that's going to be the security method. I mean, people always find workarounds. You know, if you think about when cable TV got introduced, how many people were bootlegging, getting bootleg boxes, or I wouldn't admit to that. That's some form of crime somewhere. But how many people were like ciphering cable off of their neighbors or tapping? So I mean, there's always going to be a workaround. VPNs are great because you can watch content and no, we're not sponsored by NordVPN. I'm just going to plug that out there anyway. But you get a VPN and watch content that's not available in the US, you know?
I get it. And, you know, it's easy to admit that, you know, I used to have a hot box, if you will. Right? Because I still paid my cable bill.
That's what I call her as well, a hot box.
Oh, Lord. But I think, you know what, you're right. And, you know, it's to me, it's a little, I'm in like in the middle right now because I do see the benefits of it. And especially since we're in the future. But at the same time, traditionally, I mean, right? You know, people taking their woman out on a date, or, you know, they're going out for a family outside in a family affair. Right, as opposed to just staying home, you know, like it's something that I'm thinking about with, hilariously enough, with the Boondocks, right? And when Riley and Huey are talking about, you know, paying a girl for going out to dinner or whatever the case may be, right? And it's that dichotomy where it's like, you're paying, why not just pay for the groceries and stay home versus. That's not the point. The point is you're trying to wine and dine. You're trying to impress. You're actually just trying to like go out, enjoy the time you are together outside, you know, in the world, and, you know, just, you know, having that memory, if you will.
So I don't think that term wine and dine, I think it's that I get where it comes from. You know, it's a very chivalry thing. It's a very like, you know, impressive. That's how we mate. You know, that's how feathers showing, you know, what we can do and how we can. I think what it comes down to is how do we enjoy the moment? For something that I've learned over the years is a great date is not a date to the movies. It's a date that's an experience. You know, there are date nights, and this isn't going off topic. There are date nights. Like, I think date nights are more like when you're so far into the relationship that, you know, a year, 2 years, maybe 8 months in, you know, there are date nights and where you do things that are just kind of like the norm. But I think in the beginning, there are the dates that should be experiences. And I don't think movies are an experience. I think like if you're a teenager, yes. If you're a preteen, if there are malls still, if America still has malls, something I'm fully unaware of, I think yes. Going to the movies is a date, but I think that's a date for a particular age. I think it's a date night for a particular person. I don't think it's like an experience. Going to the movies once was an experience.
I think it's an experience only because you're combining the movies with going on a dinner date at a restaurant.
Not necessarily. Right? Not necessarily. The movie, you might go dinner first, or you might go to the movies and then go dancing. Once again, I think it's
the point is that the movies is part of that experience that you're going to have.
But then it's also a bit too much too. It's the movies is a bit remember, there was once a point in time that movies went from being 2 hours, two plus hours with an interlude, to then decreasing to about an hour 45 minutes, hour 65 minutes. Now they're back up to about 2:10, 2:15. It's going to the movie alone is an experience in itself that, based on the story that you just sat through, can be so intense that you're drained. You don't want to go out and talk about the movie, or you don't want to go out and do anything after, because that was the experience. It was in that place, and it was just momentary.
I'm just saying, like, for me, you know, some of the more simpler, better experiences is going to the movies on 42nd Street, right? And then going to Dave & Buster's right after, eating and, you know, having that game card and playing video games. and just enjoying the rest of the night.
I feel like you're that guy that takes every date to the same place.
No.
Actually, I feel like waiters see you come in and they're like, this schmuck, he's been in here.
I will admit that I will not take a woman to the same spot. I will take a woman to a spot that I know if we have been dating for a while.
Okay.
Right? Like to my spots only after a while. If not, I take it to like different places, like, Little Italy's restaurants, or, you go, there's places actually in the Bronx that are like pretty beautiful that
no one goes to the Bronx.
Listen, a date to the Bronx Zoo is actually very.
Oh no, I'll give you that. I will give you that. You know what? I got asked recently. I got asked like, what was one of the best dates I've ever been on, and I can't answer that question.
It's hard to, because you go on so many dates with so many different people, and you have so many different experiences.
No, I've never had like a great like memorable date.
Oh,
like,
see,
like that's like I've had horrible dates. I've had like I've had like relationship basic dates, but I've never had like a real like, this was an awesome date, I want to see you again.
I've had a couple of those. None that actually like is like balls to the wall memorable, but I've never had bad experiences with dates. Right? Like I've always done I've always done the traditional stuff. Right? And even if it wasn't traditional, like I'd go to the pier and we talk and just have that intellectual conversation. To me, that's also something that's,
because you're fucking simple. You're a simp.
What?
You're a simp.
How is that a simp?
Yeah, I didn't call you a simp. I said simple. Saying you're a simp. First of all, that word, now that I understand that word has changed my outlook on life. Somebody has to be very clear when they say, hey, I'm a simple person versus I'm a simp. One, a simp doesn't call themselves a simp because they don't know they're a simp. Right. Being a simple person is exactly just the word. I'm a simple person.
I am a very simple person because I believe in just little things to enjoy life. That's how I believe. And if I ever get into another relationship, it's always going to be the little things.
Have you ever felt like a simp before?
I actually was a simp once, and I regret it. I was, and I've admitted this before in other episode, in the past episode. Right, where I literally just poured money, assuming one thing, or just, trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho, right, and, getting nothing in return.
Yeah, so, Geektopians, if you're hearing this, Sean is a simp. My name is Charlie Radio Williams, and we're out of here. No, you know what? Having somebody call you out and call you a simp is not as bad as realizing you're a simp. Let me embrace this one. I think like having somebody say, "Yo, you're a simp," yeah, that is bone crushing, but having the epiphany by yourself, which is a very good thing, that you become awoke and you realize you're a simp, and then you stop doing whatever it was that you were doing. You stop engaging the person that you was engaging. The energy didn't work. But I think it's worse when you realize you were a simp, personally, because you lose the excuses. Like, and now you have to deal with yourself. You have to deal with you. And I think that's always, I think whenever you're in a situation that you're faced to deal with yourself, those are always harder because now you're forced to change. Even that change is good. It's the fact that you are in a situation that you realize you have to change. Yeah. It's okay. Want some tissue?
I had to take a moment. But yeah. But luck, and you know the worst part about it is when you realize it for yourself, it's traumatizing. It's another thing, like when your friends are telling you that what you're doing, they don't call you the simp, right? But they're telling you what the simp symptoms are, if you will.
So I've had this conversation with like a 16-year-old, not but 3 months ago.
Oh, Jesus.
So I see a simp as being the opposite, but borderline of Captain Save-A-Hole. Mm-hmm. Because even with the Captain Save-A-Hole, you're trying to get the attention of the opposite sex, and you're out to trying to save them. I think when you're a simp, you know to yourself, quite similar to a Captain Save-A-Hole, that the person that you're after is just a mirage, is a vision. All right, they're a person that is just in the moment. They're not about you. They don't want you. They might see an idea of you. They might like what you're about, but they're not there for you. And I think that like you said, the strong differences between being a Captain Save-A-Hole and a simp. I think a Captain Save-A-Hole, you go into the pursuing of it knowing that deep down you want to change this person. You want to make this person's life better. I think as a simp, it's more of the want. Like, you want this person and you know that person just doesn't want you back. It's not about saving them. It's not about like making their life different. You want someone who literally just doesn't want you. And you're doing everything. You're diverting your energy to them instead of reserving your energy for somebody who's worth you. Hear that, Geektopians? Somebody who's worth you.
Yep. Find somebody who knows and values your worth.
That's right.
You know what? I'm gonna do a quiet clap. Quiet clap.
Yeah. This is where that NBC like that yeah, you know?
Yeah, there you go. The more you know.
And that was an episode of The Artist for Romance.
Yeah, that we just snuck that in there.
All right, so what's our time looking like right now?
We I think we passed 30 minutes. Like,
geez. Yeah,
I'm at 29 and I started the clock late.
All right, so we're gonna bring this to a wrap up. I know there was another topic that you wanted to talk about.
We can do that because I think Sims just took over that conversation in general.
Yeah, so we will talk about that on another episode of the G's for Geek podcast, because it's something that I would be really interested in talking about as well. With that being said, ladies and plugins. Once again, we have shirts up on Sketchfed.com. If you go to our Sketchfed Wear, we have shirts up on Teespring. Right now we have 6 shirts, but I think we're about to have about 7 or 8 because we have some ideas that we want to pitch out there. So feel free to stop over to Teespring.com, Sketchfed Wear. If you want to support us and what we do, if you like our shirts. Sean is working on more episodes for the Geektopians from home, so get ready for a lot of those conversations. And Sean, what do you have for us?
So, once again, for not the final time, Beyond Con is going virtual. We, as G is for Geek, have a podcast panel with Catch the Craze and Adrian Has Issues. Please make sure you come check it out. Check out the cosplay contest. It's going to be all virtual, so that's something that's different and fun to see. Come check out the other panels with artists and writers all exploring their opportunities and their growths and helping you guys, future potential writers, future potential artists, right? Guys, check it out. Enjoy the panels. Please enjoy our panel, right? And until then, hey, okay, I guess we'll see you guys soon, right?
All right, and I'm Charlie Radio Williams.
This is Sean-Luc.
And as always, we are out of here. Stay geek. Sean doesn't like that.
The G is for Geek podcast with Charlie Radio Williams and Sean-Luc is a presentation of Sketchfed Studios, produced by Charlie Williams and edited by Hannibal Darby. To find more episodes of the G is for Geek podcast, make sure you check them out at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever else your podcast needs. If you need to hear Charlie Radio Williams and Sean-Luc shoot the shit on any of your topics or questions, please send a tweet to the two geeks on Twitter, or you can send a message on Instagram for the Geektopians. For web series, podcasts, blogs, and more, please make sure to head over to sketchfedstudios.com. And as always, stay geeky, stay you.